Good morning, collective. Well, it's morning where I am. Good day to you wherever you are, or good night. It's definitely time for a check-in with the sage. I wanted to come a lot sooner, but things kept getting in the way, and I've decided to push through to get us a message. What I have been instinctively feeling is that it is a time of endings. I'll say that much. There's a lot of death energy around and a sort of feeling of inevitability that some cycles are just ending, and in some cases before that happens the ish has got to hit the fan and for all to see why things had to change. Anyway, we'll see what the sage has got to say. I'll go with the question I started reading for you the other day, which is contemplate this. So, dear sage, for the highest good, most high sage, the good of good, the all in all, the love of love, for the highest good of the viewer watching this video and all concerned, please let us know what we need to contemplate. Okay, so I have 2 tails and a head, so that's 2, 4, 7, which is a yang line. Please, for the highest good of the viewer, what do they need to know? Contemplate at this time. Okay, 3 heads, which is a moving yang line. So already there's some energy going on here. I do feel that things are about to flip in some way. I've been hesitant to actually approach the table, but here I am. Let's go. Please, sage, what does the viewer need to know who's watching this video? Contemplate this. Okay, it's heads and a tail, which is a yin line, unmoving. So we have Chu in the lower trigram, which is joy on the bottom. Okay, now heads, tails, that's another yin line, unmoving. For our viewer, what do they need to know? So this is a yang, unmoving line. Contemplate this. Contemplate this for the highest good. Dear sage, all in all, God of gods, the highest good. Okay, and we have a moving yin line. All right. So this is the hexagram you got, which is hexagram number 60, which is usually known as limitations or limits or something like that. Hexagram 60. And with the 2 moving lines, okay, it turns into increase. I'll just show you how that works. So the first line is the same. The second line is a moving line, so it changes to its opposite. The next line is the same, then the same, and that one stays the same, and the top line changes to its opposite, which is a yang line, so that gives you hexagram 42. Alright, so limitations leading to increase. So it's all about observing the correct limits and when and where to observe those limits. I might have to shut that door just there. You can hear people now in the background. I'll just do that. Town is waking up. So we will limit the amount of noise spilling in. Alright, so limits and increase. And what else do I know about this? So hexagram 60, limits. It's all about the correct limits and like not having too many limits, yet not being too lax. It's about knowing when to go, when to stay, when to impose discipline, when too much discipline is a problem. You've got moving line 2, which is something about when it's time to leave the house, that you must leave the house. But it's a funny hexagram, it's a funny moving line, because in this other book I have, which I didn't actually bring with me today, this line talks about a group of people who are about to create a fate for themselves. And your job is to, if you can see, even if you can't see it actually, the fate that they're about to create for themselves, your job is to get out of the way of these people, because you don't want to wear the fate that they're about to create for themselves. So, that's not actually the interpretation that I have with me at the moment, but it feels important to mention that that may be a possibility for someone. That there's a group of people that you have been associated with, or maybe you're not even like necessarily associated with them that much. They might just be in proximity to you. It could be just something like the cafe up the road, or some place you were going to go today that you hesitated about. Or alternatively, it could be your family, your workplace. It could be, it's just a group of people. And a group doesn't have to be a big group. We could call 2 or 3 people a group of people. But they're about to take an action that is incorrect in cosmic terms. Like they're about to steal something, or do just something, they're about to do something that's wrong. Maybe they're, or unjust in some way. It's not necessarily stealing. It could be any kind of injustice. They could be about to impose their will on an innocent person in a violent way, or it doesn't actually say what the action is, but in some cases and so you're going to have to check within yourself, maybe even throw heads or tails, which way it's going to apply to you, because this line definitely has 2 different opposite ways that it can be applied. And one of the ways is that this group of people is about to take an action that is cosmically incorrect and will create a fate for them. And if you're there in the place where they are about to do this thing, then you become a part of that fate. And because it's a fate, it's like unpleasant. Like, say for example, they think it's a joke to go and commit some petty crime, or they don't think it's a big deal or whatever. It turns out to be a much bigger deal cosmically for some reason than what they thought. So it's basically a warning to be correct, and you're better off being alone at this moment than associating with anyone who's doing anything even slightly dodgy. And most people who watch these kind of videos are not the people who are out to do dodgy things to begin with. So maybe it's alerting you to something that you're not aware of yet. Like, you might be sus on this, or have doubts about this group of people, or and it might just be a tiny niggling doubt. It may not even be like a big red alert, alert kind of vibe. It might just be a slight doubt. Or it could be something that you've been aware of for a long time. It doesn't say. All it is saying in one version of this interpretation is that this group of people is about to do something that you don't want to wear the karma for, and so you need to create distance between you and them. Okay, so that's one interpretation. And the other interpretation is that I'll just finish with that last interpretation. You need not to be in the space where they're about to do this thing. So say, for example, if it's the people at your workplace and they're about to move some policy that is unjust cosmically, then you don't want to have your name attached to that policy, for instance, because down the track, that's going to kick back on these people if they've done something cosmically unjust. They're not going to get away with it. So you don't want to be in that workplace on the day that... So if you have a feeling, for example, not to go to this meeting, or just that you need to say no to something, that if you've got a feeling in your bones that something's wrong, maybe you can't stop it, but you need to say the inner no and possibly the outer no. You need to make it clear that you're not a part of this, whatever this cosmically incorrect thing that somebody wants to do. You need to make it clear that you're not a part of that. Okay. And not be in the place. It's very specific about not being in the place where I shouldn't use the word bad, let's say cosmically incorrect behavior is happening, or action, or intention, or, it could be just something as simple as gossiping and throwing dirt on the name of someone who has a pure heart, or is innocent, or is... Maybe even if they've made a mistake, but it's understandable and unintentional, and these people are just really being unjust, like unjustly harsh. And the reason why I mention that is because there's this line at the top which is about galling limitations. So it's possible that these people might be imposing some galling limitations on someone or something, or even the environment. You don't want to be in the place where that happens when they do that, because, and probably for a little while afterwards too, because they are going to get karma. Okay, now the second interpretation of this line is that hesitation to step out the door at this moment when it's required, when a time for action is required, will bring misfortune. And so it's like, depending on which way you need to interpret the hexagram, it's either like, go now, hesitation is going to cause you problems, or it's like, don't go now. So you may have to, your instinct probably will have told you already which way it applies to you, but if you're not sure, throw the coins, for heads and tails, heads being yes, tails being no. If you need to clarify how this applies to you, I advise you to throw the coins and ask the sage yourself, are you talking about this situation or this group of people? Are you suggesting that I need to hold back or go? So if you're just using simple yes or no questions, you can clarify that with the sage by throwing the coins. Just, 3 heads is strong yes, 3 tails is strong no. So you might want to clarify that for yourself if you haven't already had a strong intuition as to what I'm talking about here. All right, so it's about limitations, regulations, the right time, the right place, the right amounts, and moving, it's about the turn of the seasons and the calendar. It also talks about lengths of bamboo, so it's like allotments of time or money. There's a strong recommendation with this hexagram of limitations. It's about finding the right limits. You can't be too harsh, nor can you be too lax. You can't spend too much money, nor can you be too frugal. You can't be too strict in the way that you manage your life, but you can't be too lax. I think I'm repeating myself. Okay, so I'll just read from the book a little bit. Which bit are we going to read? So it calls it restraint in this book. I'm just going to read you the moving lines because we're already 15 minutes in. Let's see. Moving line 2 you got. It says, he will not leave his own courtyard. Ominous. The time for action has come. Act immediately, without delay, now. Anxious hesitation will bring disaster. So for some of you, it's definitely time to put your plan into action and get to it. And if that involves getting away from a group of people, then now's the time to do that. If these people are acting in a way that is cosmically incorrect, you need to recognize that now and make sure you're not in the same space as them when they do their next move, which might be the move that gets them caught. Okay. And line 6 is, his restraints are difficult to bear. Ominous. So yeah, there is that ominous feeling. That's where I opened the reading with before I actually started throwing the coins. I did have that ominous feeling. So his restraints are difficult to bear, ominous if you keep to your course, guilt which eventually disappears. You have a responsibility to set restraints on others. The restraints that are required infringe cruelly on the freedom of others. You feel a sense of guilt about the unhappiness you cause. After a time, you will see that you only did what was necessary. Yeah, I think this involves some kind of a chastising energy. And I'm just getting, it could have even been the universe putting restraints on you because that was necessary too. You may have to, it's like having to put your child in the naughty corner or something like that. You can't let the child become spoiled or, you know, they're going to end up like a Nepo baby basically. So sometimes you have to set harsh restraints just to keep things harmonious. That's the only way, you know. Die-hard criminals who refuse to repent end up having to go to maximum security prison because you can't just have psycho killers out there running around doing what they do. So, you know, even if you're the mother of that psycho killer, then, you know, you have to admit at the end of the day, you can't let your offspring go around doing that sort of thing. So that's a rather exaggerated example, but that's the kind of energy. So there's something, what I'm getting from this is that there are people who have been, a group of people possibly who have been causing you or somebody else unnecessarily harsh conditions, like oppressive conditions. And it's too much. It's too much for anyone. And you shouldn't have to subject yourself to that, and you may have to get away from these people if that's what they're doing. And for somebody else, it's a matter of putting someone back in their place who's just gotten out of hand. So it could go either way, whichever way applies. But the end result of acknowledging that these restrictions are going to have to be made, you know, you're going to have to get to work, you're going to have to put some limits on certain situations, people, places or things, or spending possibly. possibly even your habits or somebody else's habits. You know, it's basically about some discipline here is needed. It's a time for discipline. It's judgment time. You need to call it now. You either need to move forward and sort this situation out, or you need to step right away from these people who are going to create a fate. And for some of you, the movement you may need to make is just to get the F away from these dodgy people. If that applies to you, maybe it's not even obvious what they're up to yet, but you're just going to have to trust your instincts. If it's someone who you are responsible for, like your child or something like that, or somebody within your own organisation, you need to apply discipline. And I don't know how to finish that sentence. You need it that if they're not okay. So I'm just getting this flash about Saturn. I'm getting a flash about Saturn. I've got a lot of heavy Saturn influence in my chart, so I'm very familiar with that oppressive. It can be oppressive, it can be very oppressive, but it can also be very freeing. Self-discipline can free you from enslavement to lower instincts. But what I'm getting here is that if you don't apply self-discipline, then you get disciplined by Saturnian energy coming at you externally, depending on what level the lack of discipline is happening at. So somebody who can't manage to live within the cosmic laws are going to get eventually done by the police, say, for example. That's one, like that's a Saturnian institution coming in and being the big daddy saying, okay, you couldn't discipline yourself, so now I am going to discipline you. So it's kind of that choice. If there's people in a situation who show no discipline in terms of they can't manage to behave within the cosmic laws, if they're stealing, killing, destroying, being dishonest, hurting innocents, violating innocents, and they will not discipline themselves and they will not accept discipline, you're going to have to get away from them because discipline is coming to them. They are going to be smacked down and you don't want to be there when that happens. And if you yourself feel like you need some discipline, then it's time to, apply that discipline to yourself so that you don't have to have it come at you externally. Now, the result of applying this discipline, whether it's getting away from people who won't abide by cosmic laws, or disciplining yourself, or just taking the action where needed, however this applies, if you get the amount of restraint, the amount of discipline correct, and you're not too harsh, because there's a very distinct warning here not to be too harsh. So it's about being just but merciful and fair. So it's just enough discipline to stop the situation going rogue. It's not so much discipline that people are oppressed. Although if there's someone who's really out of hand, then that's coming to them from the universe. The result of this is going to be an increase. That's what the second hexagram, number 42, is increase. Although this is harsh discipline coming from the universe, or harsh limitations I'm just hearing too. Some things just have their day, they're finished. A lifetime has, we each have a certain allocated amount of heartbeats, and You know, spring can't go on forever. Spring turns to summer, summer turns to autumn, autumn turns to winter. It's just, there needs to be regulations, and things have their day, they have their opportunity, and then they're done and we move on. The result of respecting those limits is that you actually get an increase. Saying no to what you don't want allows more of what you do want in. It makes space for what you do want. Getting rid of the bad makes room for the good. And so basically, if you get this discipline right, this action that you need to take or lack of action, if you get the discipline right, so you're applying the right amount of discipline, you're not being too harsh on yourself or others, but you're not being too lax. You get all this right, and what you have is increase. And it's got no moving lines, so it's just a steady state of increase there for a bit. I mean, nothing is ever stagnant permanently, but it's a fairly solid, like, it's just increase. There's nothing more to be said about it. You know, you get an increase on all levels. So that's very positive. All right. Now, let's just get a few more clues, shall we, Pussy? I'm just going to need my hand, if that's all right. This does I did pull a few cards before we started just to get the vibe, and I got that the ancestors were gathering around now, that your spirits are around you, that they're here to help you with this very important change that needs to be made now. The time for this decision has come. If you can get this regulation right now, it will cause you to have an increase. But so what else did you get? You got that your ancestors are standing by here ready. They're standing around protecting you and guiding you and helping you to make this transition. As it is a transition, there is something that needs to happen here, whether you're moving rapidly forward or rapidly away. The time has come to set these boundaries and what you will and won't allow in your life. The second card you got, it was talking about air pollution and your environment, and talking about needing fresh air yourself, but not only for yourself, but it talked a lot about the natural elements around you, like the animals, the trees, you know, water and air pollution, and what you can do to stop pollutants getting in the, like, it's almost like a kind of cry for help from the environment. And actually, I will just talk about that for a minute, because just before I started doing your reading too, like when I woke up, I was like, this is hard to say, but how to say it without being censored. Okay, so there's been a lot of bombs going off that have been unaliving people and burning buildings. And all that's being burnt is being, you know, the body parts that are being burnt of babies, of human beings, of animals, of trees, the buildings themselves, all the plastic and the metals, the batteries, the household chemicals, everything that is inside those buildings. It's all going up into the atmosphere. There is no other place in terms of that we are all sharing this planet, and we are not separated from those babies who are being incinerated. They are literally lodging themselves in our sinuses. So even if you were someone who was choosing to ignore that grave injustice going on, you still, even in the smallest way, are reaping the karma of it by breathing in those particles of those bombed buildings with the bombed civilians and all the batteries and plastic and household chemicals and everything that was contained in those buildings going up in smoke and flames and the dirty oil. It's all going into the atmosphere. And then there's what they're spraying in the sky, whatever you want to call that. It's not helping. None of it's helping. So there's a real need for clean air that actually was coming through very strongly, and to clear the air. There's something about clearing the air both metaphorically and literally. And then the final card you got was Songbirds, which is time to say goodbye, release, sound healing, and Hexbreaker, which I do believe you got last time as well, or very recently. And so it's that thing again of singing sad songs, singing goodbye songs, honouring what is leaving. I do feel the energy of death around, both literal and metaphorical. Some things have just had their day. Some things you really don't want to say goodbye to. But you literally have no choice. That is just the limit. We've just reached the end of a cycle. There are, just like you can't stop yourself from, the day from becoming night and night from becoming day and the seasons passing by. Just as you go from baby to toddler to child to tweenie to teeny to young adult, everything has a time and a season, and some things are just passing now. For better or for worse, that is just the end of a cycle, and whether you wanted to say goodbye or not, you have to say goodbye. It's just a release. And so use sound to help make this transition smoother. I do feel a lot of sadness. I'm not going to lie to you. There are just some things we couldn't save as much as we tried. And a lot of us who have these intuitive abilities have been trying for years to warn people about what was coming, and they wouldn't heed the warning. And now this has come to pass, and I told you so just doesn't bring any satisfaction. But what can you do but sing a song and cry, and then wake up the next morning to a new day and a clean slate, which is where the increase is. You can't just keep putting more and more in without emptying some out. No. That's why you have to, a hole at the top and a hole at the bottom of your body. Some things, just as wonderful as they were when they went in, have to be released and composted. And that's just the way of things. It's the end of a cycle for many. This is it. And the issue is really hitting the fan. I think that's part of why this line 2, about a group of people about to make a fate. There's going to be lies exposed. That's what I'm just hearing now. All the lies, all the dishonesty, it's all going to come out. You can't Truth just does eventually work its way to the surface. And those people that have been living a lie in some reason, their time is more or less up. They can only suppress the truth for so long, and it's all coming out now. And I think it's just going to be a lot of expose, and you don't want to be standing next. If you've already got an inkling that someone is not acting in accordance with cosmic justice, if they are harming innocence at any level, and it's whatever level you're judging this at. For me, this goes all the way down to the animals and the trees and stuff. If people don't care, that's a really bad sign. But, for a lot of people, it just goes as far as humans. Whatever. People don't care. If they don't want to respect cosmic law, they can't just keep going on and on like that forever. Eventually, cosmic justice does kick in. The lies that they have been telling do get exposed. It's just the way it works. It's just like oil rises to the surface of the water. The truth does eventually rise to the top. And just like the Epstein files, that you can sit on it for 10, 20, 30 years, whatever. Eventually the truth comes out. And if you have an inkling of what the truth is and you don't like it, then you really want to question your association with certain people. Because the truth will come out. Okay, I just got the same card jump out twice. I'm just going to pick it up again. It already fell on the floor again. It fell on the floor once and now it just fell on the floor again. So this was the letter. So there's some news coming through. All right, and it could even be the official document kind of news. And it's significant, whatever it is, okay? So there's a message coming through soon, some kind of important document for you, collective. What else does the collective need to be aware of? I might do a 9-card spread here, but we'll just have a quick look. All right. Let's do the 9 card. Okay, so you've got the Tower. So you are protected. So it's significant news, whatever it is, but you're protected. The Tower is a strong card of protection. That's the Tower. It's not like the Tower in the tarot. It's a different kind of a tower. It's more like the Watchtower. It's like your spirit guides are already onto this. They can see from above what's going on, so they can see this message come to you, and you're protected. So I don't know if it's a message of protection or you're protected from what's in the message. Either way, your protection is there. Pussycat wants to go, so we'll wrap this up in a minute. Just quickly. What's next? Okay, so there's a snake, and that's in the speciesist idea of a snake. So someone's working against you, but you are protected. So this is a warning of some sort. You forewarned is forearmed. There's a snake in the situation. I think this is just like, this ties back into this hexagram of like a group of people about to make a mistake, a cosmic mistake, and not to be with them. So if there's someone who you know is snaky, you really don't want to be standing next to them right now. They might be sending you some snaky letter, potentially. Anyway, Spirit's got your back. And so it's giving you a heads up that there is a snake in your situation. And there's some important communication coming through. What else? Okay, so that's the scythe. It's the end. That confirms what we just started with and everything here. Death is here. It's the scythe that the Grim Reaper uses. It's the scythe that harvests the wheat. So it could even be a letter or a message about an ending, but it's destined. You need to get away from these snakes, collective. If there's one snake in particular, it's just like I'm getting a very bad, like, I'm not speciesist in real life. Like, I actually love diamond pythons and everything like that. But in the meaning of these cards, the snake is the one who is, this is actually a venomous snake. Or is it a suffocating snake? Either way, whether it's actually, it's hard to say what sort of a snake that is. Either way, you don't want to be strangled or suffocated, or you don't want to be bitten with venomous poison. You may need to just get away from the snake. Maybe that's what or maybe the snake's sending you a letter about an ending. But whatever, it's sort of destined. This is a destined message about an ending here. Okay, for the center card, please. Tree. And this kind of represents you. So you're the blooming tree. You're stable. Even if you have to leave a place, you're deeply, you're deeply rooted in your spirituality is what I'm hearing. In your connection with the earth and the all in all, the sage, the highest, most high God, and the earth. I'm hearing that you provide shade for others. And I don't mean like throwing shade, I mean like you are like the tree where all the birds make their nest. You are a windbreak. You keep the soil around you together. You provide shelter and oxygen. And you are strong and solid and stable. And you give life. And you shelter people from the wind and the rain and critters. That's your energy. Your energy is beautiful, it's growing strong, and it's blooming. So that's you at the center. But yet there's a scythe here on one side. So there's a message about an ending that's destined. And somewhere there's a snake in the edge of the picture here. We'll find out more about that in a minute. You may need to prune some branches in order to keep the tree healthy. Possibly. It's like maybe pruning branches is better than cutting the tree down, sort of thing. Like if you can keep, just cut off any sick branches rather than having the whole tree taken out. And I'm also, actually there may be a message in here for somebody about cutting trees down. That is not necessarily a good thing, or it may be a good thing. We'll get some more clarifiers on that, but I'm going to go with that some branches may have to be pruned for the health of the overall tree. Next, please, Sage. Okay, this is, I know there's a lot of you who resonate very strongly with this image. So the Most High God is here with you, next to your tree. I'll get some more. So you've got a snake here in this corner. I think you can see me. I'll just move the wallaby out of the way so you can see a bit better. Let's move it over here. You can see you've got a letter here, and the tower is about, it's kind of a watchtower. You're being watched over. And there's the snake here. This is kind of you here. You're this beautiful blooming tree. And you're surrounded by the protection of God here. This is another way of saying the protection of God. So that's sort of buffering you from this snake energy. That there is an ending right next to you. Something right next to you is ending. So it's not you yourself that's ending. It could be, you know, you are having a branch of your life pruned off so that you can grow new fruit. But there is an ending right next to you. That could be actually, it could be somebody physically leaving their body. It could just be the end of a situation. But something is finished. Something, you know, it's final goodbye time for something. Okay, more clues, please. Yeah. Time to hit the road. There's a message about an ending which begins a journey. If I read it down that way. Reading across here, this message is destined, and there's a snake watching it or involved in the situation, but you are protected. This ending is fated. It's a fated ending of something. It's time to say final goodbyes to somebody or something or some situation. People, places, situations or things. It's destined. You are protected. Oh, I am feeling the heartache. I don't feel that this is easy, my friends. I did wake up with a lot of sadness. Like there are things sad in my own situation, but it was much bigger than that. You know, who can be happy about the situation in the world where evil, you know, the Antichrist energy is basically just out there going hell for leather, blowing up civilians, doing the worst kinds of crimes against innocents that don't involve death but are just as bad, you know, because there are fates that are worse than death. Death comes as a gentle friend for some. It's hard. It's a lot for a person who has goodness and love and kindness in their heart to see the destruction that's going on. But this is all fated. It's all part of the ending of a cycle. Things just needed to be exposed. I just heard things needed to be exposed. That there was the only way for certain things to be revealed was for them to come out with their masks off, out into the open, like the enemy in the open kind of a deal. Okay, please tell me some more, Sage. And so there we go. The fox. Foxes and snakes. Now, they're just predatory energies in terms of the cards. Like, I have nothing against foxes in real life or snakes, actual snakes. But the meaning here is that, you know, you've got foxes and snakes around. You've also got protection, you know, but the fact that you need to be alerted to the foxes and snakes suggests why you may need to end things in a certain department, possibly. Okay, So there's a man significant in all of this. I don't know why he's significant. Okay, let's do another layer for more clarification, please, Sage. Actually, I might use the other cards for the next layer. This is turning out to be quite a long reading. But we haven't checked in for a while, so we needed to know. Okay, more clarification, please, Sage. Just quickly. Okay, on top of the letter, what do we need to know? Okay, so it's heartbreaking news about an ending. Sad news is on the way. Something's going to break your heart. I'm sorry, collective. That is just a part of life, I guess. Not everything turns out the way we want it to. On top of the tower, please. I might just actually get a closer meaning for that tower. I feel like I need to get a closer meaning for that tower. On top of the tower, we have abundance. Right, so let's get the quick meaning for tower. How does that relate to your abundance? A powerful card, long life or something from the past, someone older, is regarded as an occult card. Page 60. It represents protection from a hidden power. So you have hidden protection and hidden abundance. Or something which is destined. Right, so destiny is at work here. All this is working towards an increase. So it just has the feeling of a fated ending or a fated, something doesn't work out the way that you wanted it to, perhaps. But that this is all fated and it's helping you to move closer to your abundance. In a simple reading, it means someone or something older from the past. It is also a card which bestows a good, long life on the person it is next to, which is you. So you're looking at a healthy long life, a good long life. So what is happening, this destined event, it's all part of what's supposed to happen so that your life is abundant and good and long. So next to the star, it's not okay. When the tower appears in the 9 card spread, there is a sense that fate will direct the person having the reading. This is sometimes enigmatic, but the tower is a card you can trust. So yeah, it's really that bittersweet feeling I'm getting that something is fated that's going to make you sad and cry possibly and feel a bit heartbroken. But it is working for your good and it is actually a part of your protection. Some things weren't supposed to work out, or they were supposed to be good for a while or for a time. Death is a part of the recycling, as in physical death. Obviously, your spirit lives on. Okay, so what can you illuminate us about this snake? About the snake? There's doubts about the snake, or the snake has doubts. Please, I'm going to take another card, please. We need to know more about this snake. Cat's falling on the ground. Okay, because cat needs to go. Sorry, pussy. More about the snake, please. Okay. It's jealousy upside down. this is your snake. They're jealous as all get out. And it was upside down. So it's like they're in a jealous rage. And they're also I'm hearing doubting Thomas. They want to be the doubting Thomas. They're operating by inserting doubts about you. Because they're jealous, this is what I'm hearing, because they're in this get out, raging, jealous, I'm just feeling the energy, it's very nasty and sick. They are going around putting doubts in people's minds about you and trying to make you doubt yourself. That's their main thing, is installing doubt and trying to make you doubt yourself. Can you please tell me something else about this snake? Tell me something else about snake. They're frustrated. So things aren't going well. I think they must have doubts about you too. Like, as well as installing doubts in other people about you, they don't actually know what you're doing, is what I'm hearing. They don't know what you're up. They're frustrated. Because they don't know the answer. They can't stop you from glowing up and moving on with your life. All right. Let's hear about the endings, please. Tell me some clue, please, Sage, about the scythe and the ending. The Lovers in reversed. Someone you used to love. Just somebody that I used to know. I'm hearing that song. There's no love in the situation. A lack of love. So a heartbreaking lack of love, an ending in love. I have a feeling like it's a past thing, but it doesn't actually say that. Maybe it's an ex-lover. They could be dying. Please tell me something else about this. Give me another clue, please, about this ending, about this scythe. The Lovers in reversed. The Master. You will master this situation. No, I'm not getting a clear thing, so I'll just wait for more information to appear. Okay, tell me more about the querent, please. Okay. Somebody's creating scandals around you. Probably this jealous person, this crazy jealous person here is trying to create scandals for you. There's a window there. I'm getting spying, stalking, gossip. Gossip about you and your past lovers. Possibly it's a past lover gossiping about you. Tell me more about the query. So there's some kind of scandal around you. You're a scandalous person. Maybe you're not aware of it, maybe you are. And this jealous person wants to try and create scandals for you. I keep seeing them looking through your window. Yeah, they want to look through your window. And the blinds are pulled down here. So it's like you want to shut them out because they just create scandals. You don't need people creating scandals. Okay, how does this protection show up, dear God? How is this protection, this divine protection from the Most High showing up? It's showing up in the form of a friend. So you have a good friend in the Most High. And the Most High is sending you a friend in times of need. A friend at the right moment is what I'm hearing. A friend reaches out at the right moment to help you cross the bridge. Cross the bridge. I don't know where that came from. A friend is going to help you make this crossing. Make this crossing. There's a cross. A friend is going to help you make the crossing. A good friend. A friend sent by the Most High. And the Most High is your friend, so, you know, friends in high places. Tell us about the highway. Tell us about hitting the road. You have some anxiety about this. About hitting the road. Oh, cars jumping out everywhere. They won't stay in my hands. They must want to be upside down or something. Need a better shuffle. Please tell me a little bit more about this anxiety. Greed. All right. Yeah. Don't drink too much caffeine if you're having anxiety attacks or sugar. It's not helping. Other people's greed. The greed of these snakes and foxes, I think, is a problem. That's why you need to get away from them. Other people's greed is causing you anxiety. So, try and address where you might be greedy within yourself so that you're not a match to it. And if you're feeling really anxious, maybe the extra coffee is not going to help you with your driving. Maybe you're better off just having a rest. I'm getting some road safety sort of stuff coming here, Driver Reviver. If you're on a long trip, do take that Driver Reviver rather than having extra coffee, I think. You know, if you need a sleep habit. For someone out there, that's a strong message there. Someone needs to not try and stay awake on the highway by drinking more coffee. They need to actually have a sleep. And if they're anxious about something, then they need to acknowledge it rather than just pushing it down with whatever substance they push it down with, whether that be coffee, cakes, or something more serious, more adult kind of thing. More R-rated, whatever substance you may be pushing your anxiety down with, it's not helping. You need a Driver Reviver. Give us another clue about this anxiety. Oh, you've got a talent. You've got a talent that you're not using, is what I'm hearing, that can help you. And because there's music there and we've got songbirds here again and endings, I'm thinking using music to help you process your anxiety and your grief and to get you away from bad habits as well. There's a song for every occasion. Tell me more about the fox, please. Right. I love it when the cards are consistent. So you've got a deceptive fox, the sneaky fox. I don't mean to cast aspersions on actual foxes in nature. Talking about slippery humans. Got a fox Okay, pretending to want to reconcile. I wouldn't necessarily trust a reconciliation offer from someone who is a fox right now. Anything else to say about the fox? Hope. They might be hopeful of a reconciliation. Or you might be hoping to reconcile with someone who is actually a fox who is deceiving you. Take it as applies. Tell me something about this man. Why is he in the picture? Fame. Anything else about this man? Clarity. Oh, I think this is part of your increase. Is an increase in clarity, which makes your work better and brings you recognition. Or you're attracting the recognition of someone famous. I think it's 6 of one and half a dozen in the other, I'm kind of hearing. 6 of one and half a dozen in the other. Not only are you getting an increase in your own recognition, people who are well recognized are starting to recognize you. One more. I didn't get it before. This ending, because I didn't get what the master was about. I think it's an older person. It's someone who's mastered their craft or whatever. A master is passing. That might be a bigger world thing, possibly. Maybe there's more than one passing. Maybe an ex-lover and someone older is passing. Or someone in the world who's a master of something. One more about the scandal, please. And the person in the centre of all of this. A lack of faith. Either you don't have faith in a situation anymore, or people have lost faith in you. Maybe you need to renew your faith. Show us another thing, please. Oh, those cards came down. These cards just want to jump all over the place, don't they? Everywhere. One more. One more clue, please. It's an ending. I'm just hearing there's nothing you can do to stop this ending. It's fated. It's actually God being friendly to you. Ending something that you are having a hard time ending yourself. Can you give us another card for that, please, dear Sage? This is how the Sage is fixing your problems for you, is bringing into an ending to something that you've lost faith in. That feels right. Can you please show me one more thing about the scythe, the ending? Can you please show me one more thing about the ending? Yeah. This ending leads to a journey. It's the end of one thing and a new beginning. There's a journey you need to make, whether it's literal or metaphorical, and the ending has to come in so that you will do that. This is the Sage, the Most High God, however you prefer to name the highest good. the all in all, the everlasting arms of love and goodness. This is the way that your problems are going to be solved. It may feel very sad and heartbreaking. I'm just hearing you're allowed to feel sad. It's okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to cry. The endings have to happen for new beginnings, and it's just part of your journey. It's fated. There's a fated ending, and it's part of how the sage is fixing troubles in your life and being a friend to you and bringing you new friends. I just hear bringing you new friends of a better quality who aren't, oh, okay, sorry, I just saw that, because you've got new friends coming in, and so some of them you will recognize them by their clarity, because they are very clear energy, clear-hearted, clear-minded people, and some of them are going to have recognition or will recognize you as part of making space for all of that. All right, let's get a few words from the word salad. I knew it. This is why I was having such a hard time coming to the table, because I do feel that energy of heartbreak. It's, I would love to tell you all the time that it's all just lollipops and coconuts and eating grapes under the palm trees, but it's not. I can often feel the energy before I come to the table. There's heartbreaks, news you don't want to, messages or news you don't want to hear. There's endings that are fated here. Let's face it, it's going to hurt. It is just going to hurt. But it's part of the cleaning and clearing out of this something that destroys your faith is not something you really want. If the people around you are destroying your faith in humanity, they're not the right people for you. There has to be an ending to the toxicity. Sometimes, when something has become so gangrenous, it just needs to be pruned. And there's elements of, okay, I'm just hearing, these are some of these old dinosaurs that have not been, there's good ones, like I'm getting both kinds of masters, like good masters and people who really shouldn't be in that position, that need to shuffle off their perch so that they can be replaced by more wholesome people. Yeah, it's a time of endings. It just is. There's just endings going to be happening all over. But it's part of the pruning and clearing and getting onto the right track. So we've got rest. Really came out upside down. It's hard to rest at these times. Flowing. Rest and flow. Flowing, go with it. Who is aware of what's happening? Have a good time, despite it all. How are they going to have a good time despite all of this? Oh, there is abundance coming. I'm just being told to remind you that there's abundance coming your way. Part of this change brings you a fresh abundance. And I am limitless. So isn't that interesting? The whole reading started out with limitations. And then your last thing is, I am limitless. Let's get one more. Release guilt. Okay, I'll leave it there. You did what you could. You honestly tried your best. I'm hearing you tried your best to warn these people, and they didn't pay heed. That's what I'm hearing. You tried. You tried and you tried and you tried, and some people have just got like they're standing there with their fingers in their ears going la 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 la, because they don't care. And that not caring is what's going to bring them down. That's where their heavy Saturn thing is coming down, and you don't want to be there when it happens, because all the not caring about innocence that they put into the universe, it has to come back eventually. You know, bills become due eventually. There's a limit on how much you can go around doing unholy stuff and getting away with it. You don't want to be near these people when the S goes down. I think I'm repeating myself. I will just leave it here, my friends. Thank you for watching if you watched. Thank you for liking if you liked. Subscribing if you subscribed. Please leave me a comment and let me know what rings true for you. I'm going to say have a wonderful day. Looks like it's not necessarily going to be easy, but trust that this is fated and you are protected, and this is all happening because you are not supposed to be around these snakes, these jealous snakes and foxes. So you're not supposed to be around deceptive, envious people who frustrate the hell out of you and only pretend to reconcile with you to steal more of your stuff. You don't need that. There is a fated ending here. Let yourself feel it, because there's a new road ahead, and it somehow honors your talents. Let the music guide you. There's a song for every occasion. Lots of love, collective. I'm sorry for whatever you lost, and I am really glad for whatever you're about to receive that's so beautiful that you had to lose something to get it. Much love.